Yo, what's happening, Cucumber Squad? Right, man, Easy Mill Lackland. Before we even get into this, it's been requested quite a lot. I apologize, I was away this weekend. Weekends are usually very, very difficult for me. I really try to drop on weekends, but man, during the week it's so hectic. I don't get time to spend with my family or do things for the house or do things for my wife and that kind of thing. So when I can drop on the weekends, I will. But if I don't, I apologize. I usually just get straight back to it over the weekend. I try and drop as much as I can during the week. So apologize about that. Thing number 2 is, guys, I always leave Easy Mill's link to his channel down in the description. So please go down to the description, click on the link, go watch this yourself and subscribe to his channel. I've been noticing that his subs have been going up, which has been pretty cool. So yeah, guys, links always in the description. Always go to the artist channel and subscribe. Thing number 3, and my final point before we get into this, is he's got a concert, a digital concert coming up on the 17th of April. I spoke about it in my last video as well. I'm once again going to leave the link in the comment, in the pinned comment. So I'm going to pin the link below. So if you haven't got your tickets, get your tickets. It's going to be, I'm pretty sure it's going to be super amazing because it's Easy Mill. And yeah, so link is down in the description. Get your tickets if you haven't gotten your tickets. It's not expensive at all. It's actually pretty cheap. Lackland, man, let's go. Somebody told me that this is about that he was in the army or he joined the Air Force or something I didn't know at all. I didn't know that he was even in the Air Force. So thank you for that little piece of information. But yeah, let's see what he's got over here.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
It's been 2 months already. I'll tell y'all all about it. Yeah, look. Slowly passed the days that I counted before I got in, and I already had the tickets to the bus that I'd hop in, and never considered my own self if I would've tried stopping. I taste the bitter with no health, I got my mind locked in.
Whoa. Okay, easy. Calm down. At least you are slowing it out down
Yeah, look. Slowly passed the days that I counted before I got in, and I already had the tickets to the bus that I'd hop in.
So slowly I counted the days before he had to actually go, before he had to get drafted, right? So into the army, right? And I like the way that he said they've already had the tickets of the bus that I'd hop in. They already knew that I was going to take that bus before I even knew. I didn't even have the tickets. It was guaranteed. Like, these tickets that is going to get you onto this bus, we've got them already. So they already had my tickets of the bus that I was going to hop in. You know what I mean?
Had the tickets to the bus that I'd hop in, and never considered my own self if I would've tried stopping. I taste the bitter with no health, I got my mind locked in a little world.
I taste the bitter of no health, but I got my mind locked in. I like that the whole thing of like, I taste the bitter of like sort of no mental health. Essentially, I think it's more down with regards to the mental health than the physical health. And as a young guy, I don't think it's more the mental health that he's talking about.
Tried stopping. I taste the bitter with no health, I got my mind locked.
You see what I'm talking about? I taste the bitter of no health, but my mind is locked in. So my mental health isn't there, but my mind is locked in because I don't really know why I'm doing this. It obviously shows my mind's not pretty healthy at the moment. You know what I mean?
Consider my own self if I would've tried stopping. I taste the bitter with no health, I got my mind locked in a little world where I'm a good boy, never was a sinner. Imagine my own self struggling, hunting a buck for dinner, running away and solving it so a bullet pierces its skin.
Whoa, there's a lot said there. Wait a second. And there was a lot of cleverness in what he said over there. Just give me a second. That's pretty smart. From the locked in, so I got my mind
locked in a little world where I'm a good boy, never was a sinner. Imagine my own self struggling, hunting a buck for dinner.
So you see, so I'm saying a little boy, I've got my mind locked into a little world where I was not a sinner. So I kind of feel like if I go into this, and you know how he's playing it back into like the conservative viewpoint of, you know, when you go to the military, you learn discipline, you learn morals, you learn all those type of things. The fact that you're going and you're killing people, that's neither here nor there. Don't worry about that. Right? They don't want you to focus on that. They want you to focus on the fact that you get disciplined and you get like, you get to learn priorities and morals and teamwork and loyalty and all that type of thing, right? So he says, imagine my own self struggling, hunting for a buck for dinner. Now, it's amazing how he's sort of playing into that. And the cleverness behind that is almost like hunting. So in the army, you're hunting down the innocent. Like you hunt, that's what some people say. Yes, you'll hunt down the enemies, but I promise you, armies have killed more innocent people than they've killed enemies. I'll guarantee you that, right? So he's playing on that. So the hunting down of the buck, right, for dinner. So he's like sort of, can you imagine like struggling to so his self-struggle? So, but he's also playing on the word of hunting a buck for dinner, where he's actually trying to make a buck to eat. So he himself is currently can't afford food to feed himself. So the military is a really like good way out, specifically in the US. I don't know if he was in the US or if he's talking about the US or if he's talking about the Philippines, which military he was talking about. But in the US, it's a good scapegoat, the military. You know, it's like having a job, right? You get a plate, you get food to eat, you get money, and that kind of thing. So he's kind of saying, I'm just trying to hunt a buck so that I can eat. So hunt a buck as in money, and then hunt a buck as in hunting the innocent, which is what the military do. You know, or are seen to do at times. Come on, man, let's go.
I'm a good boy, never was a sinner. Imagine my own self struggling, hunting a buck for dinner. Running away and solving it so a bullet pierces its skin. Administer.
Fucking hell, the way he's playing with this, man. So the way he's playing with this buck analogy is pretty brilliant, because the way he's going on about the buck is if like it's the innocent buck, bullets piercing the skin. So he speaks about the bullet piercing the skin. So the bullet piercing the skin of a buck. So he's also referencing himself in this, right? So almost as if like I'm this fragile, measly thing that if you put me on the front lines, I struggle to think of how I'm going to handle that with a bullet piercing my skin. You know what I mean? And then when he plays the wordplay, the way he actually flipped that, where referring to the buck as him being the buck, him being like weak, and then also referring to the buck as in the buck of money, trying to actually make the money.
Imagine my own self struggling, hunting a buck for dinner. Running away and solving it so a bullet pierces.
You see here, this part over here, sorry guys, you know how it works. We pause. Running away and ain't solving it. So running away from his problems, running away from work is not going to solve the fact that he can't eat. And then running away ain't going to solve so a bullet pierce its skin, right? So the consequences of this, I'm still going to feel. So if I go to the army, I'm going to be put in the front lines. I'm going to feel that bullet there. If I don't go to the army and I sort of stay here, I can't afford to feed myself. I can't afford to make that buck to feed myself, which in any case, I lose anyway. I kind of feel like I'm shooting myself in the foot, right? So the bullet pierces its skin, so himself, and it's such a clever. It's that twist in his analogy over there is very, very, very smart, and that almost went over my head, but I can see what he's trying to do here.
My own self struggling, hunting a buck for dinner. Running away and solving it so a bullet pierces its skin. Administer killers through voluntary systems, wonder who's sicker.
Administer killers through voluntary systems, wonder who's sicker. That's fucking crazy. Because you think about it, it's voluntary now, right? So administering killers, right? So they're accepting killers. They're saying, okay, well, you can go into the army at the age of 16 or 18, maybe. I think probably 18 in the US. And yeah, we can give you a gun, we can administer all of this. Don't worry, we'll do the admin that gets you to the front line, that gets you to kill those people, right? And he's like, through a voluntary system, Uncle Sam's going to go out there, and as he has for many years, and says, join the military, be patriotic. You're not at all fighting for somebody else's interests, right? You're fighting for the fact that America hasn't been attacked other than 9/11 since, like, I'm saying from a military perspective, since, World War II, right, in 1944, 1945. Actually might be 1943. Anyway, that era, from 1941 to 1945. The fact that they haven't been attacked military, from a military perspective, is neither here nor there, right? They need to consistently make up a reason for you to go to war. And what they've done now is they've played on the psychology. Before it used to be conscription, so you had to join the army. And now it's like, no, now it's almost like they plant that in your head. You need to be patriotic enough to fight for your country. But all the wars that have been fought in the modern day era has all been for profit and all been for self-gain and for the interests of the powerful, for the interests of warlords, for the interests of politicians, for the interests of big business. That's all that those wars have been. So you're literally sending these kids to be that buck, to be the cannon fodder for them, so that, and then they'll paint the picture as like you fighting for Uncle Sam, you fighting for your country, you patriotic, playing on our psychology, and that's why he's saying, I don't know who's sicker. You know what I mean? So it's very clever.
Me or the man who slaved and shame and paved the way.
Okay, so now he's comparing
Voluntary
himself
systems, wonder who's sicker. Me or the man.
So me or the man who's slaved in shame and paved the way. And that's the problem, is that, so he's saying me, the guy who went to the actual military, the man who is willing to go and kill for this country, the man who's willing to go and kill for the patriotism thing, or the man who actually sits and slaves away to actually get money to eat. Who's sicker in that sort of situation? I would say the man who goes to the military and kills innocent people. I would take, there's no shame in any work that you do. I've always said that. There's no shame. You're not stealing your money. So I don't care how you make your money. Respect to anybody that earns their money legitimately. You're not stealing it. So I like the way he's at. So paved the way. Very cool. Clever.
Who slaved in shame and paved the way for my generation to pledge and march in days of rain. Not even the slightest clue on how to take away the pain, and I couldn't seize up these thoughts on my way to basic training.
Very, very cool. I like the fact that he says, like, these generations who go and march in the rain. So let's just go back. Sorry, guys. I just want to see that.
The killers through voluntary systems, wonder who's sicker. Me or the man who slaved in shame and paved the way for my generation to pledge and march in days of rain.
Yeah, so for my generation to pledge and march. So again, this is what I told you about Uncle Sam. I pledge allegiance to the flag, right? Pledge allegiance, pledge and march in days of rain, right? In dark days, my generations will go out and fight and give up their own lives.
Not even the slightest clue on how to take away the pain, and I couldn't seize up these thoughts on my way to basic training.
Yeah, so not even the slightest clue in terms of how to take away the pain, right? And I couldn't seize up these thoughts on my way to basic training, right? So already he was going through a very, very dark time, already going through very difficult situations, and he was scared. He was actually scared, as any sort of normal human being would be going to basics training in the army, because you don't know when you will be called up. You don't know if something will just pop up and now you need to go and fight. You'll be based somewhere where you will need to fight. Let's say Afghanistan or Iraq or Iran or Syria. You know, do you really want to go there? So, and he says, I just couldn't seize up these thoughts. And when you say seize up, he's like, I couldn't stop these thoughts. I like the fact that he didn't say, I couldn't stop these thoughts. I like the fact that he's like, when you actually think of an engine seizing, so if you think about an engine that has no oil, right? That's not a healthy engine. And eventually the engine will seize. So he's comparing his mind to an engine, right? That is not healthy. He's spoken about the health part. So he's in terms that he hasn't been thinking about the health of his own mind. Right, and then the way he talks about it seizing up is because it's not healthy. Eventually, you know, he couldn't seize these thoughts. I couldn't seize these thoughts up, right? Because those are the only things that were running through my head like an engine. So it's a very, very clever way of doing it. Not just I couldn't stop up these thoughts, or I couldn't stop thinking of these thoughts. I couldn't seize up these thoughts. Very cool.
I went in with good intentions, most didn't believe me. They need to see me. My good friends wish me luck even though they don't want me leaving. I guess it's even.
Oh, I like that. My best friends wished me luck even though they don't want me leaving. I guess it's even. So it's like I left and I kind of hurt you by leaving. Don't worry, it's even. Like this shit's hell. You know what I mean? Let's go.
Wish me luck even though they don't want me leaving. I guess it's even. Compared to them, is this to better myself? Cause I just be rapping, so what's happening? The more I think about it, they must be sitting back home and laughing while I'm in Lackland.
Now, that is very clever the way he actually said that. So he's basically, it's amazing how the human being will justify something, will justify a reason for doing that. And when you're young, you tend to find a lot of justification. So you'll sit there and you'll look at other people in judgment and be like, yeah, but what are you doing? Like, you know, guys, all we're doing here is fucking, we're just rapping, right? Not to mention that what you're doing, that path that you're trying to create for yourself, even in rapping, in the actual entertainment and the arts sort of spectrum, is something very powerful, which you can see right now with the music that he makes. He speaks to millions of people, right? But when you're young, you tend to justify things differently. You tend to think like, no, I need to go and be a man, right? So I'm going to join the military. And the friends are like, why are you doing this? Are you being stupid? You know what I mean? Like, no, man, we're doing nothing here, man. We're just rapping and that kind of thing. I'm going to go do something real. You know what I mean? I want to go and be that manly man, that hero, right? And then when he actually goes, he literally says they must be sitting back and laughing while I'm in Lackland. Now, Lackland, I kind of feel like he's playing on the fact that he was lacking, like, you know, so, and he went to like a land where he was lacking, like he wasn't fit for. But I also could be wrong. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if Lackland is something else. I don't know if it's a place or. Just give me a second. Oh, it's actually a US military base. I did not know that. Lackland is an Air Force base, which makes sense because they said it was in the Air Force. It's an Air Force base in the United States Air Force. It's been in operation from 1941, so obviously just as World War II was getting started, right? I think it was 1939 to 1945. So 1941 to present, it's still currently running to this day. So it was actually in the US. It wasn't actually in the Philippines. I didn't know that. I didn't know that Easy Mill was in the US Air Force. That's mad. Okay, let's go.
The more I think about it, they must be sitting back home and laughing while I'm in Lackland. Yeah. Finally set foot chillin' up in the airport, saw the cats there sitting, we joining the Air Force, and that was the grave I'm digging, but it was my dare choice,
I like that. That was the dead grave I was digging. It was my choice. I chose to do this. I chose to dig my grave here, but hey, I'm chilling with the cats at the airport. We're not even in the thicker shit yet, right? I didn't even realize that this was the grave I was digging, but hey, man, I chose it. Let's get to it, I guess.
Sitting, we joining the Air Force, and that was the grave I'm digging, but it was my dare choice, will we be end up killing a couple of scared boys, that might have been not the real case, but it definitely crossed on my thoughts.
Ooh, listen to that. So he basically says, who would we end up killing? A couple of scared boys. Doesn't mean that was the case, but that's how it appeared in his thoughts, right? Because even if you think of the military today, everything is very targeted. So it's no longer like man-to-man, you know, like sort of civilian to like, a soldier to soldier. It's not like that anymore. It's all through, you know, it's ground attacks, but it's all technology. The air attacks, it's all drones or jets or things like that. So at the end of the day, you don't really know who you're killing. You don't know. And that's why he says a couple of scared boys. So innocent people, a lot of innocent people get caught in the crossfire and die because of it. So, and he couldn't shake that because it just kind of shows you like his character and who he was. He was actually an innocent, gentle, genuine individual. And he just couldn't shake the fact that, hey, maybe we're going to go and like fight people that don't really want to fight, man. And they're scared of us. You know what I mean? So he was already like, his mind was going. I like that.
Killing a couple of scared boys, that might have been not the real case, but it definitely crossed on my thoughts. The T.I.'s expectations leveled on making us follow like bots. Storm out for one.
The T.I.'s expectations with making us follow like bots. Exactly. This is how the military works. The military cannot have you be opinionated. The military cannot have you be you. The military cannot have you be your own person. They need to break you down as a character, and this is basic training. My dad was in the military, in the Portuguese military. He fought in Mozambique. My dad was in the army, and all my family were in the Navy, and my dad was in the army. And basically what they do is they break you down as a person. So they literally take you, break you down, and then rebuild you like a bot, the way they want you, right? You need to follow orders. You need to say, yes, sir, no, sir. How high do I fucking jump, sir? That is basically what they need. They don't need somebody with a conscience. They don't need somebody who is not a yes man. They don't need somebody who has an opinion. They don't need somebody with morals. They need somebody who takes orders. Somebody that we can program that will do what we tell them to do when we tell them to do it, right? So that's what he's referring to that, right? The TI's orders like make us follow like bots. Like literally, you are a bot. You're sitting there, take orders and do not ever question. You know, it's almost a faith to a certain degree. So Dorm Alpha 1, I see it says here Dorm Alpha 1, 320 seconds. So that's obviously his platoon units or something like that. It must have been his platoon.
They crossed on my thoughts, the TI's expectations leveled on making us follow like bots. Storm Alpha 1, 320 seconds where we filled up our slots a few days.
Okay, where we filled up our slots, fucking very clever. So Storm Alpha, that's obviously his platoon. That's where we filled up our slots. And I like the fact, like when you think of slots, there are always many slots. Right? There's no individuality to slots. So even if you look at like pigeonholes, like envelopes, right? You just need to fill up slots. And the way they use people, if you look at when they go to their dorms, like, you know, as you said there, to their dorm rooms, it's all just slots. It's pigeonholes for people. That's it. That's where we take up our slots. We're just a number to these people, right? We need to fill up our slots. We need to make sure that all these slots are filled, and if we need all these people from the slots, we can just take them from the slots and put them in the front lines for war. But it's all like the fact that he said that. Sorry guys, I just want to explain this to you. So the TI's expectation level to making
us follow like bots. Storm Alpha 1, 320 seconds.
So it's Storm Alpha. So that's obviously that Dorm Alpha. So he's talking about the dorm rooms that they used to sleep in. So it's obviously called Alpha 1, the 372nd Squadron, whatever it was, right? Where we filled our slots. And that's what the thing is, that in those dorms, it's very basic, very plain. You get your rooms and you just get slots of people, which is your bunk beds. Which the way he's doing that is almost doing it like he's sort of magnified it, but he's magnified it out. So if you had to look at it, it just looks like slots where human beings reside. Very smart, very clever of him to do it that way.
It's where we filled up our slots. A few days in and some already want to tie their necks up in knots.
A few days in and already people want to tie their necks up in knots. So basically already people want to commit suicide. When you say tie their neck up in knots, there's obviously a noose. They already want to hang themselves. Like they just can't handle the pressure, okay?
But that was the nature they cultivated. They make it way too insane for those who think it's a game.
Ooh. It's 100%. I love the way he's painting this picture because this is so real to the military. But that was the nature that they cultivated. They cultivated this nature so that if you thought that this was a game, if you came in there thinking that this is a game, right? We're gonna very, very quickly wipe that fucking thought out of your mind. This is real shit. This is not a game, right? Maybe it's not your game. Like, it's not your game. It's their game. Like, they're playing with you. This is their game. That's how I believe. I believe that it's their game. Right? It's a game for them, right? But they don't want you to think that this is a game for you. Does that make sense? So that's basically that's how I believe. I believe we're playing politicians and corporates, powerful men's games, right? But they don't want you to believe that this is a game. This needs to be real for you so that they can play their game with you as their pawns. You know what I mean? So I think that's how he's trying to really paint that, which is very, very cool.
That was the nature they cultivated. They make it way too insane for those who think it's a game. When in truth it really is. You just gotta know how to mentally.
Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said. Literally, I just said that. I'm gonna break my headphones again. I'm telling you. I just said that. So when in truth, it really is a game. And that's how he's trying to flip it. So he says, when in truth it is a game, we just got to know how to mentally play it, right? So the thing is that you yourself are playing their game. So it's crazy that he went into that line straight afterwards. And like, you got to know how to mentally play it. But you'll never be able to mentally play their game. The only way to mentally play their game is to be that pawn. You will not ever step on their chessboard and think that you can fucking run that chessboard. That's their chessboard. They move the fucking pieces, right? We tell you, we put you in the powerful positions. We'll use you as pawns. If you're good enough, we might upgrade you to a horse or a bishop, right? And then if you're even better than that, we might upgrade you to a queen or a king, right? In terms of like the general ranks, right? But this is the game. It's their game of chess. You playing on their board. Don't think that you move the pieces. They do. I like that. You just got to mentally know how to play it, right? So you've got to accept that and you play it however you want to play it in that situation.
Play it, I should never say it, but motherfucker reporting statement.
You see what I'm saying? I see. I'm telling you. So he says, you just need to know how to mentally play.
Gotta know how to mentally play it. I should never say it, but
I should never say it. I should never say it because I don't believe in this. But motherfucker, I'm gonna say reporting statement, reporting to duty, sir. You know what I mean? And he said it anyway because that's what it was. He's been indoctrinated now. Let's go.
Motherfucker reporting statement. I went in with good intentions. Most didn't believe me. They need to see me. Yeah. My good friends wish me luck even though they don't want me leaving. I guess it's even.
I like this hook. I like this hook. It's got a very Eminem feel to it. Even the beat has got a very Eminem feel to it.
Is this to better myself cause I just be rapping. So it's happening. The more I think about it, they must be sitting back home and laughing while I'm in Lackland. The day came when we had to get our neurotic shots to stabilize all our systems, but man, it was too much.
Crazy how you play that, because if you think of neurotic shots are supposed to be for neurotic people. It's supposed to actually help you. It's supposed to help you with your depression. It's supposed to help you with your minerals that are depleted in your body. It's supposed to help you with anxiety and things like that. So he's saying the day came where we got our neurotic shots, which was actually supposed to help us, but fucking hell, it was actually too much. You know what I mean? It was too much. These neurotic shots weren't going to work. And I love the fact that he's playing on the neurotic shots as if it was something that was positive that they got, but it was for neurotic people. He just painted the picture. Like, why do you need neurotic shots? You need neurotic shots because you are currently being broken down psychologically. That's therefore the normal state of a human mind when they are being broken down psychologically is to become neurotic. Neurotic meaning like depressed anxiety and have all these different chaotic situations in their mind. So the irony is that we were getting our neurotic shots to assist us with that, but it really wasn't. It was still too much, right? They were breaking us down. It was just, they were absolutely crushing us psychologically. So that's what he was saying here.
And the side effects on the wall said one was pox, but I didn't care. I knew I was in favor with the odds. Psych.
Hey, he says I didn't care. He says, one of the side effects was that one was going to be pox, like maybe smallpox or things like that. But he's like, I didn't care. I knew I was in favor with the odds. Then he said psych, right? Where he says, yeah, little did I know. Like he says, I'm kidding. I was not in favor with the odds. The odds very, very much beat me. You know what I mean? Let's go.
2 days later, woken up on my bed, froze. Just got so sick that I was feeling hella dead, bro. Went to reading.
Yeah, those shots must make you feel like absolutely crap. He said, so basically he woke up and he was frozen in his bed. So I woke up and I was in bed, froze. So either he was frozen in bed, like almost paralytic, which is kind of like what actually happens because they work you to the fucking bone, right? And then you wake up the next and you literally cannot move and they don't care. Get up and go again. That's just how the military works.
Bed froze. Just got so sick that I was feeling hella dead, bro.
Yeah.
Went to read and can't believe it what they said though. That I was going home, they sending me to med.
Couldn't take it. It was too much physical and too much mental beating for him. So you see, this is why I felt like he was playing on the word lackland. So he went to a land where he was lacking, like it was too much for him. He couldn't do it. He wasn't the kind of person to be a military man, right? And I kind of feel like that's why he kind of chose that word, because I was lacking in this land. I was lacking in the land of the military. It wasn't for me. But then playing on that, which is tied to the US base, which is actually called Lackland, which is pretty incredible. So obviously he got sent to to the hospital, to the meds, So what do they call it? There's actually a word for it. Infirmary. I think it's called an infirmary. So you got sent to the infirmary to get treated.
Oh, that was the place that I actually spent a month, and the atmosphere was chill, you could slack, and no one's fronting, but
I like that. The atmosphere was chilled, you could slack, but no one's fronting. So the atmosphere was chilled, obviously, because there's nothing happening there, right? It's very clinical. It's a hospital, essentially. You could slack and no one's lacking, obviously, because you're ill, you're sick. So you are slacking, naturally slacking. And no one's fronting, which I think is fucking awesome. Because when you say no one's fronting, is no one's fighting with each other. So no one's causing shit, right? And also no one's fronting as if you're not in the front lines. So no one's fronting. You're not in the front lines confronting anyone. Right? So I'm not in that danger space anymore, essentially. Very, very clever. I like the way you used that.
That I actually spent a month, and the atmosphere was chill, you could slack, and no one's fronting. But the thing that got to me was the fact they gave us privileges at the cost of cleaning the crap out of latrines, and then
they gave us privileges. Okay, so they gave us privileges. They gave us privileges at the cost. So yeah, you're gonna get privileges, right? But you need to go and clean up other people's shit, right? Now, latrines, for those of you who don't know what latrines are, it actually was a word that was used like a long, long time ago. I think it still came from like either the Roman Empire or something like that. Latrines is another word for like a communal bathroom. So like a big bathroom where like there's just the holes in the floor. If you actually look at the medieval times, that's pretty much how what latrines were. It was just toilets, like toilets next to each other, but they weren't actually toilets. It's actually very unsanitary as well. It's just holes in the ground, or it's just like a concrete slab or something like that where you wee in. It's almost like a big urinal where 50 people can wee, and there's like a big room where like 50 people can take the shit, you know what I mean? And that's a latrine. That's so instead of saying communal bathroom, it's crazy that his vocabulary is like this, because I mean, I haven't heard the word latrines in God knows how long, and the only reason I know that is because I've read that a couple of times in books, and I've watched a couple of old shows like Spartacus, right, where they refer to the bathrooms as latrines. You know what I mean? So communal bathrooms. So which was usually for the communal bathrooms was usually for the peasants. It was for the lower class people, right? So that's what he's trying to say. We were the lower class people. Yeah, we got the privileges, but we had to clean the fucking shit out of the communal bathrooms.
the fact they gave us privileges at the cost of cleaning the crap out of latrines, and then limit us to cut-offs and back to confiscation like that. Just
limit us to cut-offs back to confiscation like that. So that's how the military fucking plays it, right? The military will give you privileges, right? Slip up once and then they're back to confiscations. They take it away. So here's your privilege, right? Step out of line, take it away. Confiscate it. I'm confiscating it again, right? You need to learn your lesson. You need to know that you are worth fucking shit here. You're worth nothing in this place, right? Straighten up. That's what he's saying. Straighten up.
It felt like we can't. The boost of surges for us.
Just straight up felt like we calaboose insurgents. Calaboose meaning calaboose is another word for prison. So it's another word. I think it's another word for. It's prison. I think it's he's saying like in prison, so being in prison. So felt like we calaboose insurgents, meaning we imprisoned insurgents. I'm pretty sure calaboose is prisons. I'm not entirely. Sorry, let me just make that up, or let me just search that, or I'm just gonna. I don't want to talk shit to you guys. Calaboose. I remember that word. I think it's imprisoning, like calaboosing someone, imprisoning someone. Calaboose. A prison. So calaboose is a prison, right? Okay, so imprisoned insurgents, right? So insurgents that have been in prison, right? Where you get your privileges, but your privileges get taken away at a whim, essentially. Okay, anyway, let's go on.
To confiscation like that, just straight up felt like we can't. The boost of surges for us who got some birthdays they passed, like no one's business was happening to the shit like no cat. Can't understand it, but that's just the side of me that's really pissed and wants to hate.
So fucking clever. This is what's so clever about the way Easy Mill writes. Just think about, you need to think about, you can't think of his music in a single line. You can't read a bar or a line or a verse, right, without reading the tie-ins. Now, let me show you a perfect example of the tie-in, right? So he's saying over here, and for us who got some birthdays, they passed like no one's business. What's happening to this shit like no cap can't understand it. Think of the word shit. What's happening to this shit? But that's just the side of me that's really pissed. Shit and pissed going back to the latrines, which are the bathrooms, essentially. So they treated us like dirt and piss, right? And that is where we filled our services. We're in the latrines cleaning up the shit and piss, right? So we were no better than the shit and piss that we were cleaning up in the latrines. So that's how they saw us. So we were shit and piss, and the shit and piss needed to clean up the shit and piss. And that's how he ties these verses in really well. So just think about that. Like, a lot of people like sort of just go over and miss that, but it's very clever in terms of talking about the shit and the piss, which are, you know, the scum of the earth, right, were imprisoned insurgents, right, cleaning latrines at the threat of everything being confiscated from us, right?
Who's a surgeon for us who got some birthdays they passed like no one's business was happening to the shit like no cap, can't understand it. But that's just the side of me that's really pissed and wants to hate.
See, and that's just the side of me that's really pissed and wants to hate it. But he tied that into the latrines, which I think is very clever.
The truth is I understood that my body couldn't take it. Maybe the brightest side is now that I'm back home in Vegas. But to those who believe, I'm sorry, y'all, I didn't make it.
There's no need to say sorry. There's no need to say sorry for that. At the end of the day, you're probably way better off. Not probably way better. I'm telling you right now, you're better off not having been there. And I understand the necessity for a military. I understand the necessity for an army. I understand that fully, right? But if you look at what the military is used for and what the military I'm saying in a state of war. The military, don't forget that the military is also used for a lot of domestic situations where if there's like cyclones and it damages property and it crushes like a whole city because of tornadoes and things like that, the military are immediately deployed to go and obviously help people domestically and that kind of thing. But I'm talking about in a war situation. In war situations, right? I'm fully for the military being there to help people domestically and to help their own people and to defend their borders, to defend their people. Where the military sort of lacks for me in war situations is more likely than not, 90-10, is that specifically in the US, which is the most experienced war-fighting nation in the world because they've been in perpetual wars since World War II. There hasn't been another nation that has been in as many wars as the US has been, and a lot of them unnecessary wars. So if you think of Vietnam, right? Vietnam was an unnecessary war. They lost 50,000 soldiers, which was completely unnecessary. They did not have to be in that space. They lost the war. They like to say that they didn't. They lost it. You lost 50,000 kids and you achieved absolutely nothing. Surely you were fighting on the side of South Korea and communism was a threat from the north, but the Viet Cong and Mao Zedong and all those guys from the north, they had already jacked, they knew their land. They were fighting guerrilla warfare in the jungles, and the Americans knew that, and the Americans knew that early on. They should have stopped it way early on, saying this is not a war that we can win. Let's just protect South Korea with the technology we have, with the military we have, and let's not let them advance. Let us stay in an area where we're comfortable in, and if they want to fight, they can bring the war to us. Why must we take the war to them? And the problem is that they did that and they never pulled out. And do you know why they never pulled out? Because war makes money. They made trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars on bombs, on weaponry, on Humvees, on planes, on napalm, on God knows. To the point that they were actually napalming, they were so disorientated in that war that they were napalming their own people in Vietnam. They went into the jungles not even having communicated to make sure that some of their platoons were still in the jungles, and they got so frazzled that they just napalmed. They were trying to napalm the Viet Cong in their own jungles, and American soldiers were napalmed by their own people. Now that for me that has nothing to do with protecting the USA. That's somebody else's interest. That's just political interest. That's corporate interest. right? And it did absolutely nothing for them. And America in the modern day has found themselves in a lot of those unnecessary wars. Like, they didn't have to be there, but they went and they were there anyway. Why? And don't be mistaken, it's because of money. It's because warlords make money, politicians make money, corporates make money. It's all money driven. Wars turn economies, and America is very good at that. America has the playbook of that. That is why they are the best military in the world, right? They are an incredible military. They are the world police. They've got more bases than anyone else in the world. They've got the best technology in the world. They literally are a power military house. They literally are that. And to a certain degree, they need to be that because they've also got a lot of enemies, you know. And there goes there's a saying that says, that sometimes you've got to show your enemies who's got the biggest stick. You know what I mean? And that's something America was always good at. I don't know if they're so good at it now, but they were always good at showing people showing their adversaries who've got the biggest stick. So it's super important to have the military. Right, it's super important to keep the military up to date, to have the military, to have soldiers that are this well trained. American soldiers are trained very, very well. It's super important to have that, right? But then I also think the military should be used responsibly. It shouldn't just be used at a whim to make money for the corporates and for the warlords and for the politicians. It should be used purely to defend or to attack back those people who attacked you, right? Defend your land, defend your people, defend your interests abroad, right? But don't use it to further your interests abroad, right? Also, very difficult situation because who's not trying to further their interests abroad? Look at China, look at Russia. They're all trying to further their interests abroad. Why should America not? It's very messy. It's very political. And now, yeah, this is what happens when I listen to songs like this. I go off on a tangent. I apologize.
I went in with good intentions, most didn't believe me. They need to see me, yeah. My good friends wish me luck even though they don't want me leaving. I guess it's even. Compared to them, it's this to better myself, cause I just be rapping. So it's happening. The more I think about it, they must be sitting back home and laughing while I'm in Lackland. Hey, shouts out to my 322nd boys, man. Burgess, Davis, and the ones I came with from Vegas, Thompson, Weatherspoon, Sadri. Hope y'all doing good, man. Hey, where's all my Meadow boys like Del Toro Alpha 6? Y'all, I told y'all I'll make this song about fucking BMT and all the metal and shit, but it's all good, you know. You just gotta Clay House sketch.
That's awesome. That's like a little private message to his platoon, to his boys that were in it with him. So yeah, man, so like, again, so yes, I completely understand the importance of it. And you know what, some people, and you don't need to feel like you are lacking. Some people are just not for that, and that's okay. And that's why it's so good that it's voluntary, because if you feel that you are for the military, then yeah, go ahead, sign up, and see how you go. But at least with the, without the conscription, you're not just taking in people that are it's literally just going to shatter them. They are useless to you, like they're useless to the platoon. They're just not built for it. And certain people are just not built for the military. Like it destroys them mentally, it destroys them physically. They're not built for it. Like it's not a soldier you want, right? Rather have it be voluntary and take the soldiers that are more sort of like mentally prepared and mentally geared for it, right? Where he wasn't. He thought he was, but he wasn't. But that comes from also a young mind. A young mind watches Hollywood and watches these movies and listens to these stories, and it's like, man, I need to join the military, man. I need to be patriotic. I need to be like that famous sniper, Chris, what's his name? I want to be like him. But then when you realize, when you're actually on the ground doing that shit's not fun. That's just not fun. It's real. When you got bullets flying at you, that shit's real. You don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want that coming at you. So anyway, love this song. I apologize. I did talk a lot in this one, but I hope I broke it down enough, and I just gave you a bit of my own thoughts on the war situation. Love you all, man. Please stay safe, be so healthy. I'll catch you on the next one.